near your home, there is a corner like this one. One busy main street crosses another that is not so busy. As you come up to a busy street or road, you see a sign that says, "Stop," a reminder of the law which says you must pause to look out for the other fellow. You know that this is one of the safety rules. You always stop at this corner. Not very far on down the street, there is another corner where you usually stop. No, there isn't a sign here, but there is a playground where the rest of the gang is expecting you. You stop because you've made it a habit to do so. On your way home, you stop at another corner, not because it's the law or a habit, but as an act of courtesy, because you are thoughtful of other people. And that last stop you made, like all acts of courtesy, is pretty important. It's important to you and important to the person to whom the courtesy is shown. Obeying rules and laws is good citizenship, and following accepted customs is good sense. But both of them are topped off by that little bit extra, an act of courtesy. You can pick anyone, just anyone, out of a crowd, and in a few minutes, see just how important those little extras, the acts of courtesy, are. Take the boy in the center, for instance. His name is Robert. What do you think of him? You don't know? Of course not, because you can't tell by looking at someone what kind of person he is. But watch Robert a little longer. He is thirsty, so thirsty that he doesn't notice that others are waiting in line at the fountain. He isn't trying to make anyone mad. He's just trying to get a drink. What's wrong with that? Robert travels to and from school on the bus. He likes to sit in a certain seat. If he doesn't get there first, someone else may take his seat. He isn't trying to be rough. He's just looking out for himself. After a good hike, everyone is eager to get on with the picnic. Robert thinks they should eat over here by the stream, but Robert tells them they're all wrong. He says he isn't trying to boss them. He's just trying to get a good place to eat. Well, that's Robert. What do you think of him now? If you formed an opinion of him from the way he acts, just remember that people form opinions of you from the way you act. Taking turns, whether it's at work or play, is fair. It gives an equal chance. It means that you're courteous, that you think of others, that you're a good sport. There are lots of times at school and at home when people have different ideas about things. Sometimes it's about who should make a report, or who is the greatest baseball player that ever lived. Or it could be that you and your parents have different ideas about your allowance. In Robert's case, the argument was about a place for a picnic. Whenever people look at things differently, there is usually some reason on both sides. There is one thing, though, about which there can be no argument. Listen to the other fellow's side. If you tell someone, "You're crazy," he isn't going to like it, or you either. But if you say, "You may be right, but this is how I see it," then he feels that you are a reasonable person, trying to get a good answer to your differences. This is Polly. Polly is a happy, good-hearted girl who has lots of interesting things to talk about. In class, Polly doesn't hesitate to interrupt the teacher or another student when something comes to her mind. Even at home, Dad, who is very much interested in the news right now, can hardly make head or tail of what he's reading. Or Polly is so excited about the preparation for Dad's birthday dinner that she distracts her mother so that she can't concentrate on the recipe for the cake. When her brother Tom is talking on the telephone, Polly chatters merrily on until Tom can hardly carry on his telephone conversation. Polly only wants to be friendly, but the truth is, she is anything but that. Polly? Oh, Polly? Can you listen for just one moment? What you have to say may be interesting to others, but only at the right time and in the right place. What you do not say may also be an act of courtesy. Jim enjoys telling his friends about the fishing trip he and his dad took last summer. His friends enjoy hearing about it too, except Freddie. Freddie's so eager to tell about the trip he took that he's not much interested in Jim's story. It takes real thoughtfulness of others, real courtesy, to keep from telling what you want to tell while another person is talking or reading or trying to think. But when Freddie stops trying to interrupt and starts listening, he finds he's interested in Jim's story too. When Jim is finished, Fred gets his chance. Fred's courtesy makes his friends think well of him and gives him reason to think well of himself. In fact, you are a better person if you remember to do the little acts of courtesy, if you let the other person go first, if you smile or nod good morning, if you give the other person his turn, if you give others a chance to talk or read or think without interruption, if you show the good sportsmanship that you feel. If Polly starts being more courteous, the word will get around. She will get a reputation for being the kind of person everyone wants to be. If you had asked Robert if it was wrong to push people around, he would have said, of course. But when he thoughtlessly did it himself, he didn't even realize what he was doing. And Polly surely knew that it is bad manners to interrupt or to distract others. What both Polly and Robert need is to get into the habit of being courteous. When Robert went back to the end of the line at the water fountain, he made a start. When it gets so he takes his turn every single time without thinking about it, then it's a habit. And habits of courtesy pay off. Polly isn't going to be really thoughtful of others until she gets more satisfaction from being courteous than she does from distracting others. But she will get that satisfaction if she gives herself a chance. Yes, if you want to be a courteous person and want others to be courteous to you, practice doing the things that make for courtesy until they become your habits. Think of the other fellow's feelings. Think of the other fellow's rights. Think of what the other fellow will think of you. If you want to get along well with others and want them to get along well with you, be courteous.
On the way to school. It isn't far. Down to the corner, over to the next street, across the railroad tracks, past the stores. And oh, it's fun. There are things to see and things to do, things to think about. Walk to school, walk to school. This is the way we walk to school. Walk to school, walk to school. Look, there goes Mr. McCormick driving to work. This is the way we walk to school. Look, there's Mr. Ames, the milkman, delivering milk around town. Look at this engine, Mr. Ames. This engine's going to school. It's for the toy town in our schoolroom. The town needs a train, doesn't it? It's going to be a real model town with a milk truck and a train that runs on a track, and automobiles, and trucks, and buildings, and all the things we see on the way to school. But right now, it's goodbye, Mr. Ames, and goodbye, George. Goodbye till tomorrow morning. Walk to school, this is the way we walk to school. Walk to school, this is the way we walk to school. Skip to school, this is the way we skip to school. Skip to school, this is the way we... Say, there's something to see up here. The new garage. What will it look like today? There it is. The roof's on, and the man is putting on shingles. Boy, they work fast. Why, just last week, the garage looked like this. And the bricklayers were hard at work. Then on Friday, the bricks and stones were all in place, and it looked as though they'd stopped working. But today, just look. It won't be long now until they've finished. That's something to see, things to do on the way to school. School, up around the corner and past the stores, and wait, there's time to look in on something else here just across the street. When you come near, you should always tiptoe. It's over there among the evergreen trees. Can you guess what George sees, huh? Baby robins. Today they're hatched. Just a few days ago, there were only eggs in the nest. Little blue eggs with brown spots. But today the baby robins are there. Miss Baker will want to know about them. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Did you hear that? The train's coming. Hurry before it goes by. The train is on the way, too. On the way to other towns, carrying people and things. All aboard! All aboard! Moving along the railroad track with a click and a clack and a clickety-clack. Wouldn't you like to be the engineer? Have to be sure that the track is clear. Woo, 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 woo. Choo, choo. Shoot, 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 shoot. Say, cars and trucks and buses are on the way, too, carrying people and things around our town. We'll need a lot of things in our toy town at school. School isn't far now. Just past the stores. First, the hardware store. It isn't open yet. That's funny. Mr. Brown is always here by this time. Oh, here he is now. He's just a little late today in opening up the store. Or maybe we're a little bit early. Now, look at this. A high wooden fence all across the front of the store. What's going on? This wasn't here yesterday. No, yesterday it was just an empty old furniture store with white stuff smeared all over the windows. Now they must be getting ready to fix it up. What kind of a store will it be? Can't see anything now. That's something to keep watching for. Things to see walking to school. Here's something. There's a poem about a barber pole that goes like this. It's fun to pretend that the barber pole is a great big peppermint stick. It's fun to imagine how nice it would be to have all that candy to lick. It never would matter how much you bit off. There still wouldn't be any less. Why, you could even keep eating forever and ever and never get finished, I guess. The most interesting things to see and do on the way to school. We could stop at the school playground and play. But let's hurry inside and see what the others have brought for the toy town we have at school. Here's the classroom. Here's the teacher, Miss Baker. See the engine for the toy town? Moving along the railroad track with the click and the clack and the clickety-clack. Choo, 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 choo. And see the dump truck Fred has brought for the toy town? Just like real trucks he often sees on the way to school. Everyone is interested in the toy town, in bringing things and making things for it. And here it is. Look, someone brought some cars for the train, and with the engine hooked on, wouldn't you like to be the engineer? Have to be sure that the track is clear. Woo! Now, Miss Baker wants George to use the toy town to tell the story of his walk to school. Do you remember the story? Walk to school, this is the way we walk to school. At the corner, we stopped and looked first one way, then the other way. Then we crossed the street. What did we see first? Do you remember? The milkman. And we told him about the toy town. Then we saw the garage that was almost finished. After that, we peeked in on the nest of birds. And then we stopped for the train. Do you remember the sounds we heard? Next, we saw trucks and cars going about town. After that, there were the stores. Mr. Brown's hardware store. And the store that's all boarded up. And the barber shop with a funny pole that doesn't ever stop. Pretty soon we arrived at school. Well, that's our story. Did you like the story? Would you like to tell it to your friends? Or wouldn't it be fun to tell about what you see and do on your way to school?
He's washing himself. Why? So he'll be clean. Why? Oh, just because.
Hey, Virginia, come on up and wash before I start my bath.
All right, Fred. Come on, Dolly, let's go upstairs. Wait, Virginia, I can wash right here. Look. Oh, Billy, that's no good. Why? That's just silly. Why? Oh, because. Come on, Billy.
Virginia doesn't know the answer to Billy's question. Let's see if we can explain it.
You and I have a coat of armor that protects our bodies from the outside world. It's our skin. We wash it with soap and water. Why? Well, there's a special reason. Look at your skin through a magnifying glass. It looks like it's full of tiny holes, doesn't it? These holes are called pores. Some have little hairs growing out of them. But did you know that you really have two skins? The one you see is the outer skin. It's the toughest part of this coat of armor. Underneath it is another layer, the inner skin. And beneath this is a layer of fat. In this fatty layer are sweat glands, lots of them all over your body. There are special kinds of sweat glands under your arms and in other parts of your skin. These glands have little ducts to carry the sweat or perspiration to the outside air. Most of the time, the sweat dries as fast as it comes out, but sometimes it collects in little drops. The air dries this sweat, and that helps to keep you cool. Every hair grows from a tiny root. These roots are in the fatty layer, too. Around the hairs and in other parts of the skin are oil glands. They open on the outer skin like the sweat glands. These openings are some of the pores that you can see in your skin. The oil made in these glands spreads over your skin and helps to keep it soft. When you get dirty, the dirt sticks in this oil. Germs do, too. You can't get them off with plain water. To get off this mixture of oil, dirt, and germs, you have to use soap. Soap has a special way of cutting into the oil. It breaks the oil up into tiny drops and surrounds each drop. When you wash off the soap, the oil, dirt, and germs come off with it, and your skin is fresh and clean. And that's the special reason why people wash with soap. From the time you are born, you have this living coat of armor. It keeps out germs and dirt as long as it isn't broken or cut. You have many kinds of skin. Your fingernails are a kind of hardened skin. Even your hair is a kind of skin. In fact, most of what people see of you is your skin. That's still another reason why the care of the skin is so important. Your skin can get sick just like any part of your body. And when it does, a doctor can help it to get well. But if you keep your skin clean, there's less chance that a disease will be able to get started. This boy's skin has a disease called eczema. If it isn't taken care of, it may get dangerously infected. Infections like this are painful and hard to get rid of. This is athlete's foot. To guard against it, keep your toes dry and clean. And chapped hands can come from a little thing like not drying carefully. Virginia knows how to take care of her skin. She washes her hands at least 4 times a day. She washes everywhere between her fingers, too, with plenty of soap and warm water. She knows that germs like to hide under fingernails. A stiff fingernail brush gets them out. It brushes the cuticle off her nails, too, and leaves her nails bright and pretty. And now her face. A soapy washcloth keeps from splashing water. She washes her face at least every morning and evening. She rubs gently all over her face. She washes right up to the edge of her hair. She rubs carefully to get all the dirt out of the pores so they won't clog. Here's a place where dirt collects pretty fast. She washes her ears inside and behind every time she washes her face. And now her neck. She gets the front of it, and she doesn't forget the back. You won't ever find a high water mark on Virginia's neck after she has washed herself.
Who is it? Hurry up, Virginia. I want to wash. I'll be ready in a minute, Billy.
He'll have to wait till Virginia rinses herself. First, she gets all the soap out of the washcloth. And then she uses the washcloth to take the soap off her face. She's careful to get every bit of it off. Soap left on the skin makes it feel dry and tight and makes it easier for the skin to chap. She gets all the soap out of her ears and from behind her ears, too. And then she rinses her neck, the front of her neck and the back. She gets underneath her hair to make sure no soap has been left there. Now, a final rinsing to get all the soap and dirt out of the washcloth before she hangs it up to dry. She rinses the basin, too, so it will be clean and neat for the next person who uses it. Not that it matters to Billy. As far as he's concerned, he's been waiting much too long already. But Virginia won't be rushed. She knows that drying is just as important as washing. A good job of drying leaves the skin more comfortable and helps to prevent chapping. When Virginia's through, she hangs up her towel, so it will dry, and because it looks better that way. Billy's learning to use plenty of soap and water when he washes. Uh-oh. Oh, looks like that kitten started something. It's Fred's turn next. He uses plenty of warm water, not too hot, and plenty of soap, too. He works up a good lather all over his body. He's especially careful to do a good job where the skin sweats a lot. Perspiration sometimes leaves an odor here. Feet need special attention, too. They often sweat inside the shoes. When he's all lathered up, he rinses the soap off. He's just as careful to get it all off as Virginia is. Fred bathes every day during the summer, and at least 3 times a week during cold weather. A brisk rub down with a large, soft towel tops off the bath. It speeds up the flow of fresh oil from the oil glands to help keep the skin soft. Fred's careful to dry between his toes. Leaving them damp might let the athlete's foot fungus get started. Fred's bath takes only a few minutes, but what a difference it makes in the way he feels. And now, a final look at the bathroom. Towels folded and hung up to dry, no ring around the tub, and a basin rinsed and clean. Fred's ready to turn in for the night. Virginia's ready for bed, too. They both know that plenty of rest, anything that helps your health, helps your skin, too. Billy's fast asleep. Well, he should have been asleep long ago. Seems that he has a problem tonight. Oh, well, someday, Billy, you'll find out why people wash with soap.
The astronaut is on his own like no one else in the world. When he's all by himself miles above the Earth, it's his responsibility to do the things he's been trained to do without hesitation or question. Bob is on his own, too. As an older boy, his parents expect him to share responsibility. So today it's his responsibility to see his little brother get to school safely. When you grow up, you have more freedom, but you also have more responsibility. Like the astronaut, Bob has gone through a long period of training too. Over the years, he's been taught the correct way to go to school. He knows the right place to cross the street. He also knows to wait for the new green light and to look in all directions before crossing. On streets with no sidewalks, Bob has told his brother to always walk facing traffic so that he can see the oncoming cars. Bob's brother walks in front of him, so Bob can keep an eye on him. Traffic engineers have gone to great expense to design safety devices for the pedestrian. But to be safe, the pedestrian must be willing to use them. The decision not to take a shortcut is often difficult. Bob knows the astronaut never takes shortcuts. The astronaut always uses the safety devices built into his space vehicle. So like the astronaut, Bob knows that when you're responsible for your life, as well as the life of another, it is adult and smart to use the safety devices afforded you. Another safety device is the pedestrian tunnel. Regardless of whether you walk to school or ride a bicycle, the tunnel and overpass have been built for your safety, and it is important to use them. At crosswalks near school, still another safety device that is sometimes available is the crossing guard. This might be a policeman, a civilian guard, or an older student. But regardless who it may be, it is your duty to use this service and the guard's responsibility to see that you have a safe passage across the street. Setting a good example for younger children and carrying out your responsibility in an adult manner always gives you a good feeling. When school is out, it's even more important to be on your own. First, it's straight home to change your clothes and leave your things before you meet the gang. It's a temptation for you and Mike when you're in a hurry to break the safety rules. It's a nuisance to be delayed until the wait signal changes to walk when the old green light is still burning. And it's even harder not to race across the intersection and the crosswalk without looking to the right and left. It seems silly to look to the right and left again when you come abreast of the first car. But when another car passes you like a bullet, you realize that if you hadn't looked, you might never have another chance to look again. During the training of an astronaut, he learns many things. Not just the rules of safety that must be obeyed, but he also learns to exercise good judgment. The astronaut learns to evaluate a situation and decide whether it is safe or not. This ability of applying good judgment is a sign of growing up. Good judgment is a matter of maturity. To children like Bob's little brother, throwing rocks seems the natural thing to do. But Bob and Jim know from experience that even throwing pebbles at one another can be dangerous. So like the astronaut, Bob exercises good judgment and stops the horseplay. Then he takes the time to explain the dangers of throwing things to the younger children. It is just as important to apply the rules of safety during play as it is on the way to and from school. Good judgment tells you to ride single file on the right side of the street, staying close to the curb. When you reach a busy intersection and want to make a left turn, it's a temptation to cut through traffic and turn with the cars. But it's much safer to get off your bicycle and use the crosswalk. As the astronaut sets an example for the Jims and Bobs of this world, the Jims and Bobs know they must set a good example for the other children. So by getting off their bicycles and using the crosswalk, they not only cross the street with safety, but they help other children establish good safety habits too. Streets are a tempting place to play, but they were designed for another purpose and are therefore dangerous. Bob and Jim know this, and though they would like to stop and join their friends, they also know they'll have a better time at a playground that was designed for play and fun. The world of modern man has become very specialized. Missiles are designed to do special jobs. Small missiles are designed to carry light payloads short distances. Larger missiles are designed to go great distances and carry heavy payloads. Our streets have become specialized too. City streets, like small missiles, are designed to carry light traffic short distances. They are therefore safe for pedestrians and slow traffic. There are special highways built for fast, high-speed traffic and are therefore dangerous for the pedestrian or bicycle. The boys know they have the freedom of choice, but they also know they have the responsibility of good judgment. So like the astronaut, they exercise that good judgment and keep to the residential streets. Astronauts practice long hours so that during a flight they do the right things automatically without having to consciously think about them. This is called conditioned response. By obeying safety rules, you too can condition yourself so that you will develop good habits. Once these habits are well established, you will do them automatically. Safety rules apply to playgrounds as well as streets. The boys have learned this and keep to the edge of the playground rather than crossing in the middle. In the heat of competition, misunderstandings often arise. Arguments ensue and tempers are lost. Sometimes it seems the only way is to fight for what you think is right. But you soon discover a fight never solved a thing. So you talk it out, and the misunderstanding is set right. Then you shake hands and begin the play again. So your day should be like an astronaut's successful mission, completed with safety, by obeying the rules, by using the safety devices afforded, and by exercising good judgment in areas where decisions are required.
I said, is this 630 Lester?
Yes, it is.
Are you Joe Olson?
No, I'm Ed. Joey's my son.
This is it, then.
Oh, boy!
That's the kid, huh?
Yeah.
Well, where'll I unhitch it?
Well, that is, I don't know. Wherever it's hooked, I suppose.
I know where to unhook it. I mean, where do you want it unhooked? You know, where here? Where here? Kay!
It's mine, Mom! Mine?
Congratulations, kid. You won first prize in the Grass City American Legion Grand Raffle. Where you want it unhooked? Left.
Boy! Mr. Crimp can be first mate, and I'll be captain. Okay, Mr. Crimp?
Aye, Captain.
I'll have your old man sign a for this just as soon as I know where you want to leave it set, kid. You want to ask, where?
What do you think, Mr. Crimp?
Warp her into the garage so as we can fit her out, Captain.
What's he say, kid?
He said put her in the garage. We'll christen her the Northern Star.
You see? The dummy knew it. You'll have to sign for him. Have you got the contest ticket stub, kid?
Sure.
I never thought he'd really, honestly win one of them. Isn't it wonderful, dear? Of course, he has been entering quite a few.
It's in the cigar box.
Did you say a few?
Oh, well, he's like his sister and brother. Neither one of them are like other children I know.
Yeah, I could see that right away. The doll.
His great-granddaddy carved it. Great-granddaddy was a sea captain.
Oh, sure.
Boy, my first command.
Aye, Captain.
Avast, Mr. Crimp. It's not going to be easy getting a star sight tonight. We can't make way this night, so this will have to be our berth.
There's more'n a starless sighting to fear in these waters, Captain.
Speak up, Mr. Crimp. Be clear.
There's a launching to be done, and no crew to bear a hand, sir.
My family will be my crew, Mr. Crimp. They'll help launch.
It'll take some doing, if me soundings be true.
If he has to enter contests, why doesn't he get himself into a practical one, where he can use what he wins? We aren't sailors.
Great herds of turtles. One boy talks to dolls.
The other locks himself in his room all day long with his nose in a book. Augie, come down here.
Well, I'll admit I could never understand why Joey's always been so crazy about boats. But as long as he's got it, anything, what's the difference?
Listen, horsewoman, nothing comes for nothing. Did you ever hear of gift taxes or income taxes or whatever it is that'll have to be paid? What do we know about handling an outboard?
I don't know why you should call me a horsewoman. I don't have a horse.
Forget the horse. Let's get down to facts. Now, what are we going to do?
If we sold it, we could buy a horse.
Now, listen, I told you. What do you think, Kate?
Well, how much do you think the income tax would be?
Well, what difference does it make if we don't have it?
Well, there's the money you've been saving for your wood lathe.
Oh, no. No, you don't. Not my lathe money. No, sir. I'm going to get that lathe if it's the last thing I do.
It's just possible that Augie might enjoy this boat, too.
Joey could win the Queen Mary, and Augie wouldn't know about it until he read it in a book.
I don't like the idea of such a little boy driving such a great big boat.
Well,
I don't know what you're all stalling about. The only adult thing to do is to tell him we'll have to have it. She's right, you know.
yeah, I know.
Oh, that must be Bill.
Is that the headless horseman you've been seeing?
Hello. Oh, hello, Bill. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And have I got something to tell you? I think we're going to get a horse.
Joey, the time has come to ask what you intend for the future. You're fortunate today. Luck has stepped in. But now you must decide what's to become of you.
Batten your hatches. Here comes the big blow.
This is your dad, Joey. He's worried about you. About where you'll end up. You're getting on, boy. Time you began to think. Joey, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Admiral.
That's telling him.
That's no answer, boy. Anyone can be an admiral. I got high hopes for you, lad. You know that. Look up. Think big. Don't be carried away with these wild, childish dreams. Why, you could be a lawyer. Senator. Maybe even own a furniture factory. Yeah, but you've got to have a knowledge for these things, a trade. Maybe you could learn how to run a lathe.
A lathe?
Well, I'm only thinking of the boy's welfare. Be a good thing for him and his brother. Good thing to have in the basement workshop. Teach him there's other things in this world besides dolls and books. That's it. He could make dolls for a living. Almost anything with a good lathe.
Mr. Second Mate, we're launching the Star in the morning at neap tide.
Neap tide?
7 bells on the dog watch. 7:30 to a landlubber.
Huh.
I'll expect you to have the crew standing by. We'll give her a last check. And tell Augie I've signed him on as logmaster.
Get something to drink with the lunch, okay, Dad? Where was that stand we saw, Ed?
Right over there.
Mr. Crimp! Mr. Crimp, where are you?
They threw me in here like I was a rum cake at a church picnic.
Sorry. I was looking for a good place to launch the Star.
That was the worst ride I've ever had. If your father's gonna be second mate, I'll need the Norwegian Navy to correct his mistakes. Now let's take it from the beginning, Joey. Now before we made a move, we should have checked the weather reports. If the storm flag's flying, it doesn't pay to head out at all. Now then to the gear. In the first place, my lad, you should have double-checked to see that you had the equipment required by the Coast Guard. Now, a youngster like you should wear a life vest. There should be cushion preservers handy for the older folks. A preserver for each passenger aboard. And a fire extinguisher. Of course, should you be planning to cruise after dark, better be sure your running lights are working properly. You're not cruising the 7 seas, but remember, you still might have need of a compass. Paddles, plenty of line, an extra gas tank, a bilge pump, a few tools, and an anchor. And make sure the anchor is the right size for your boat. And a first aid kit, too, just in case, you know. But there's more to handling an outboard than collecting equipment. Now, that second mate of yours wasn't mindful he had a boat in tow driving down here. You have to give a wide berth when passing on the highway, just as you should on the water. And it's easy to forget you're even towing the trailer. You should give yourself plenty of room to stop and use hand signals before you turn to. Well, now let's help your second mate get the Star into the water.
If you want me to go left, why turn the wheel right?
'Cause that's the way you get the boat to go left.
Good lad, Joey. Tell him it's easy after a bit of practice. Just turn the steering wheel one way, and the trailer goes the other. Then turn the wheel back and let the car follow the trailer in. Tell him to stop there, Joey.
Hey, Dad, stop. We've got to loosen the tie-downs.
That's it. Now get your father to back up the boat till the tires are a few inches into the water. But never let the wheel hubs be submerged if you can help it. Now unlock the bow winch, unfasten the launching line, hang on to the bow line or she'll drift.
Mom, Julie, Dad, Mr. Crimp, up front with me. She's got to be trimmed on an even keel. Cast off, Dad.
Now, listen, Joey, let's consider this thing. That engine looks like it's too big for this boat.
It's not. The OBC says this size is okay. Stand by, Mr. Crimp.
Aye, aye, sir. Captain, watch that start. It's too fast for safety. Captain, there's no galley in this craft, and it's lunchtime. Better put the ladies ashore, then give your second mate a trick at the wheel.
Get out of the way, yo!
Belay that! Those horn blasts mean something.
Slow up, Dad, and turn right. He's got the right of way.
Now this is called the danger zone. And if a man's going to be a skipper, he ought to know any craft in the danger zone has the right of way. Any boat from dead ahead to a beam to starboard, that is. Now here's where a fella has to make up his mind in a hurry. Both boats should give way to starboard and pass with plenty of room to spare. Sailing craft, canoes, and rowboats always have the go-ahead over powerboats. Remember that. They can't maneuver as easily as we can. And make sure your wake doesn't upset them. Reckless fool! He's towing a man on skids. He's too near. down. Watch that high-speed turn. Angle into the pier, cut the throttle, drift in, and make ready to fend off.
Where's Julie? Julie! Come on.
You're as daft as your great-granddaddy was, Captain. He didn't know a mutiny until it was over either. They're planning to scuttle us, I tell you.
All right. I'll listen. I'll do what you say. But I'm still captain. Okay, Mr. Crimp?
Aye, are. But a good captain's no better than his first officer. And when the crew starts to mutiny, he's got to depend on his first mate.
All right. But what can I do? There are more of them. And they're bigger.
Aye. So we've got to outsmart them. Search out their weakness. Divide and conquer. Let's think a bit.
Aye.
I think I've got it.
What?
Well, your sister's out of the way as a mutineer. That boy she saw on the water skis near drowned over her bloomin' scarf. Your mother, well, she never was too strong against us. She's just playing along with that land-lubbing second mate.
That's my father, Mr. Crimp.
Aye, there's the pity of it. He's the one we have to work on. Is there anything about the water he likes?
He drinks it, and he makes me take baths.
Baths? Say, does he like to fish?
Yeah, from the bank.
That's it, then. Between now and next Saturday, he thinks that me finny friends, the fish, are gonna be biting all but the rudders in the lake.
Now, I don't want to seem stubborn about this thing, but we've got to be firm. We're going to get rid of that boat. Last week, you both agreed you'd help me talk the boy out of his childishness. Now, I'm not blaming anyone. But this weekend, we're going to have to figure out some way of ending it.
I'll be honest with you, dear. I was worried that he couldn't handle the boat. I was wrong. I don't have anything against it now. I thought it was delightful. And Ann Regis, she belongs to the Outboard Boating Club, sent an invitation to a card party the club's having.
I'm trying to tell you, Joey is just too young. What about Augie? Didn't change him, did it? Why, he wouldn't care if... He knows about it, doesn't he?
Mom told him about it at breakfast.
How is he? Looking well?
All right. What's the plan?
He can't get it to the lake by himself, so it's simple. We just don't go out with him tomorrow. We're all going to be busy doing something else.
Fine. Don't worry about me. I have a water skiing date. Works out swell.
What happened to the horses?
Now, what would I want a horse for?
How about you?
Well, I can go to the Regis's card party. She's so nice.
Fine. I'll go along. Now, we'll stick together on this. Well, let's get on with it.
Now, hear this. Tomorrow's orders of the day. We depart at 8 bells for a second shakedown. We have 2 jobs to do. The crew has to learn about marker boys and the outboard club's putting on a fishery.
Fishery? What's that?
Fishing party. The big ones are hitting now.
How big?
About 4 feet.
4 feet? 4 feet. Well, that's fine, boy, but we won't be able to go. Your mother and I are going to a card party, and Julie's got a date. 4 feet.
Oh, I thought you knew, dear. The Regis's party is for ladies only.
Isn't that an awfully big fish. 4 feet.
It's bigger than Joey.
My. Think of that.
About the buoys, Dad. Dad, about the buoys.
I can feel something nibbling.
This is supposed to be a shakedown cruise. Now, on our way out, we didn't keep the black buoys on our right and the red ones on your left. Now, on our way back, we'll have to reverse it and stay to the right in the channel. Like that boat over there.
Okay.
Do you think you'll catch a really big one?
Who cares? I'd rather have a mess of fish like this than a bevy of whales. Oh, man, will you look at that. Nothing like that off the bridge. Must be the deep holes in the middle. Yep, you gotta have a boat to get to those inaccessible spots, no doubt of that. Joey, start her up. Let's head for home, huh? You know, Joey, when we sell this boat, we can rent one from the marine over there.
Man overboard! Hey! Let him sink. Should have known better than to stand up in a boat.
That's my dad!
All right, all right. Throw a cushion and hard to starboard, then. Now, we don't want to break the propellers on him, so head into the wind. It's stronger than the waves. That's it. Now cut the motor and toss him a line. Now haul him aboard near the stern.
Are my fish all right? I'd hate to lose them.
It's the last one I'd like to toss back.
How's it, Joey? Ready for today's cruise?
You know, Dad, maybe I've been selfish about the boat.
Certainly. Ought to let the rest of us drive her more often.
I mean, maybe we should sell her.
You don't want the boat?
I don't know. I don't want to be selfish.
So you finally made up your mind, huh? You finally know what you want. Joey, what I wanted was for you to decide what you wanted most. If it's a boat, then it's a boat. I'll help you float her and things like that.
Gee, Dad, I'll tell Mom.
Don't tell her all of this. She's got her heart set on a lathe for your brother Augie. He needs a diversion. Here comes that boy for Julie again. They'll be going out in his boat.
Hey, Julie, can I come too?
Sure, Augie, come on.
Augie? Kate! Come on, Kate! Let's go put the star into the water.
horses, there's boats, there's family fun. The last two carry a guarantee for just about everyone.
Did you ever notice the many directions in which boys and girls move about when they're on the playground? Let's see some of these directions. You know many of them. Around and around. Directions we go when we move in a circle. Forward and backward. We move forward when we move in the direction we are facing, and backward when we move away from the direction we are facing. Another way to change direction is to go to the left or right. Left and right are side directions that depend upon the way we are facing, like left and right fields in a ball game. As you have seen, many directions depend upon your own body. But now let's look at some directions that do not, like up, down. They are more exact. Up is away from the earth, and down is toward the earth. Up, down, up, down. We say that John is above Betty, and Betty is below John. The sun shows us another exact set of directions. It does so by casting shadows that all point in the same direction at the same time of day. Anne and Joan notice this. Their teacher tells them that in the United States, shadows at noon point toward the north because the sun is in the south. The teacher marks the noon shadow with a brick to show north. She suggests they also mark the direction of the shadows at other times of the day. She then tells them that if she too faces north, the direction to her right is east. It is in the east that we see the sun in the early morning. Now let's see quickly the direction of the shadows that Anne and Joan saw when they marked them the next day. At 9 o'clock, when we see the sun in the east, the shadow points west. By 10 o'clock, the shadow has moved to here. 11 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, the shadow points north as it did at noon yesterday. Now 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock. You can see that the shadow is moving toward the east. These changing shadows seem to be caused by the sun's moving westward, but the real cause is the earth turning eastward. Let's use a light to represent the sun and a globe to represent the earth. A stick of chalk placed on the area of the United States will cast a moving shadow when we move only the globe by turning it to the east. So you see that it is really the earth's turning and not the sun's movement that changes the shadow's direction. But if you could shrink your body to a very tiny size and ride on the globe as it turns, you could not see that the globe was turning, and the shadow would look very much like the one we saw on the playground. See the shadows on Anne and Don's left? The morning sun is on their right in the east, so we know they are walking north. They are approaching the corner where East 8th Street crosses North Park. They turn right. Now which way are they going? Yes, east. They are facing the early morning sun, and their shadows point to the west. As they go eastward toward school, they cross a street that runs north and south. they continue east. Their morning shadows are still behind them, or to the west. It is now noon. Shadows have now moved to the north. Don explains to his friends that the same north direction of their shadows can be shown on an instrument called a compass. When the needle of the compass is allowed to swing freely, it always points north, the same direction as the shadows at midday. When Don faces north at noon, he knows that the direction to the right is east, because when the compass is lined up, it shows east to their right, south behind them, and west to their left. A compass can be very helpful in finding directions on a cloudy day when there are no shadows. Don's Cub Scout den finds this out while on a hike in the woods. According to their map, the den must now leave the trail and go in another direction in order to reach the lake. But which way should they go? Don's compass, used with the map, will tell them, because you see, maps too usually give direction. Since the arrow on the map points north, notice that north and south on the compass dial are first placed in a line with the north arrow on the map. Then the map is turned until the compass needle points in the same direction. Now the directions on the map are the same as the directions on the ground. The den chief shows them the two streams, now dry, that come together here. Then he points them out on the map. So this is the place where they are now. They had left the main road here to follow the trail up to this point, but they want to go to the lake. So a line on the map connecting the lake with the place where they are now will point out the direction they must go, west. John goes out as a marker. Now suppose you wanted to tell someone the direction that Den 4 is going. It wouldn't help much to say, they are going that way. You could say that they are going toward John or toward the lake. But wouldn't it be better to say that Den 4 is going west? West is called a cardinal direction. When you say west, you are giving a more exact direction. North, east, south, and west are all cardinal directions. Can you use a cardinal direction when you tell someone which way you are going?
Have you ever seen such a busy class? These children are making costumes from a story we've read. They're going to act out the story in a little play. I know they'll enjoy that. They're all excited about giving the play today, but you should have seen them a month ago. It looked like they might never give a play then. A month ago, the class had not learned how to get along together. Some of them fought over the costumes. Others argued over who would take the parts and other things. The few boys and girls who were trying to work together couldn't get much done. I decided we'd have to stop all our preparations. These boys and girls wouldn't be able to put on a play until they learned to get along together. Of course, they were disappointed, yet they knew that they were not getting along very well. So we sat down and had a talk, and we discussed things they could do that would help them get along with each other. I think they understood how important that was, and they said they would try. That was a month ago. Boys and girls can learn a lot in 1 month. Let me tell you about some of the things I've seen these boys and girls do in the past week, and you can see how much they've improved. Billy, for example. I saw Billy playing football a couple of days ago. It was his turn to carry the ball. He thought he had a touchdown, but the other boys said he'd been tagged. At first, Billy was angry. As you might expect, he didn't like being called back. He started to argue about being tagged. But then he remembered our talk about getting along with others. He accepted the decision and played fair. He played by the rules of the game. Do you think a boy who has learned to play fair can get along with others? What about Sally? Yesterday, I saw Sally jumping rope. Judy, one of the new girls in our class, wanted to jump rope too, but she was afraid to ask. Sally could see that Judy wanted to play. Can you think of what Sally did to be friendly to Judy? Of course. She asked Judy if she wanted to play too. Do you think a girl who has learned to be friendly knows how to get along with others? That same day, I saw Anne, another one of the girls in our class, come to school with a new doll. The other girls wanted to hold the doll. If you were Anne, would you share the doll with the other girls? Anne did. Do you think a girl who has learned to share things knows how to get along with others? In the afternoon, I saw Steve, one of the boys in our class. Jimmy was having trouble with his bike. The chain had come off, and Jimmy didn't know how to fix it. What do you suppose happened next? Steve knew how to fix the chain, so he helped him put it back on. Do you think a boy who has learned to be helpful knows how to get along with others? It seems these boys and girls get along very well with others at play. How do you suppose they get along with others at home? I've heard about some of the things Jimmy has learned to do at home. Jimmy has started putting his things away when he's done with them. That way, he can find them later. By taking care of his things, Jimmy is saving his parents the work of cleaning up after him. Do you think taking care of things helps you to get along with your parents? This past week, Judy has started helping her mother with the dishes. Do you think a girl who has learned to help her parents knows how to get along with others? What about getting along with brothers or sisters? A few days ago, Donald and his sister were watching television. His sister wanted to change the station, but Donald wanted to keep the same program. Dad reminded him that they had already seen one program that Donald wanted to see. Donald knew that that was right, so he let his sister have her turn. Do you think that a boy who has learned to take turns knows how to get along with others? Yes, these boys and girls do seem to be getting along well at home and at play. And they've learned how to get along well here in the classroom, too. For example, look at Donald now. He wants to get some water from the sink. But some of the other boys and girls are already waiting. What will he do? Of course, he's going to the end of the line to wait his turn. Waiting our turn, we know, helps us get along with others. Steve has finished using the sink, but he sees the mess that has been left. By cleaning the sink, he's doing his part to keep the room clean. Don't you think being helpful is a good way to get along with others? What about Ann and Johnny? Johnny borrowed Ann's pencil, and now he's sharpening it before returning it to Ann. Taking care of the things we borrow and sharing things helps us get along with others. Do you think these boys and girls have learned enough about getting along well together so that we can put on our play? All right, boys and girls, finish your costumes and clean up the table. I think we're ready to give our play. Let's see how they work together. By working together, they're able to put their materials away quickly. Heavy tables are easy to move out of the way when there are others to help. With the chairs in a circle, everyone in the class can sit together. The boys and girls can use their costumes to show the parts they will play. Well, it seems that Billy and Johnny have made the same costume. What will they do? Well, they've decided to take turns, so each of them will have a chance at the part. Yes, these boys and girls have learned many things about getting along with others. They'll have fun giving the play. Everything we do becomes more fun when we know how to get along with others.
There's something we all enjoy about for dinner. Have you ever thought why? It's because eating with others is fun. People like to come together at meal times. They enjoy each other's company while they're enjoying good food. Mealtime is fun for Frank. And it's fun for Judy, too. But it's different with Ralph.
Will you have some peas, Ralph?
Gosh, Mrs. Scott, I don't like peas.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, how about a baked potato, then?
Well, okay. Gee, Ralph, why aren't you eating? Remember that picture we saw? What picture? The picture with the hand and the 5 groups of food. Oh, that was just schoolwork.
No, Ralph isn't enjoying his dinner much. Maybe it's because of that candy bar he had just before dinner. Whatever it is, Ralph's good time with Frank and Judy is spoiled. The next day is Saturday, and Ralph's tired. But Frank and Judy feel differently.
We're going skating today. Can Ralph come with us?
Well, I don't know. I think he's still in his room. Just a moment. Let me see. Ralph? Frank and Judy are here and want you to go skating with them.
Hi, Frank. Hi, Judy. Hi. Can you go skating with us outside? It's just right. I don't feel like going skating. Thanks anyway.
Oh, well, okay. That's too bad. Maybe he can go tomorrow. Bye, kids.
Bye.
That's how it's been for quite some time. Ralph just hasn't had the pep that he should have. And now, Ralph begins to wonder why. Maybe there was something more in last week's classwork than he had thought. That hand, for instance, that his teacher had drawn. 5 fingers that point the way to health. What was it now? Bread and butter or margarine, milk and cheese, meat and eggs, vegetables, and fruits. Those are the foods you should eat every day if you want to be healthy. The first one, bread and butter or margarine, reminds him of Kenneth. Why? Because those are energy foods, and Kenneth has the most energy in class. Whole grain breads like whole wheat and rye are especially good for you. If you do eat white bread, make sure it's enriched. Enriched bread has vitamins added to it. Cereals give the same kind of energy and health values that bread does, especially whole wheat cereals and oatmeal. Butter and margarine contain fats. They give you energy in a different way from breads and cereals. Butter and fortified margarine have vitamin A in them, which is necessary to good health. The second finger that points to health represents milk and cheese, and somehow they remind Ralph of the tallest children in class. That's because milk and cheese help the body grow. Milk is about the most perfect food there is. A glassful at every meal is good for you, and with one more, that makes a quart a day. Vitamin D milk helps build strong bones and teeth. And Ralph has decided that it must be lots of milk which has given Linda such a bright smile. Cheese is a bodybuilder too, and there are many kinds to choose from. The third finger represents meat and eggs. And Ralph thinks of George right away, because he's the huskiest and the strongest boy in class. Meat and eggs help the body grow and make it strong. Meat is good for you, and there are many kinds. There's beef, there's pork and ham, there's lamb, fish is good, and so is chicken and other poultry. An egg a day is good for you too. Boiled, fried, scrambled, poached, or any way. Meats and eggs are high in protein, which helps build red blood and strong muscles. The fourth finger, pointing the way to health, represents vegetables. And here Ralph thinks of several children in his class, for there are many kinds of vegetables. Potatoes, for instance, are an energy food, and baked potatoes, eaten with their skins and butter or margarine, have lots of vitamins and minerals too. When it comes to green and yellow vegetables, Ralph thinks of Wendy, the prettiest girl in the class. And there are so many different kinds. Green vegetables like string beans, asparagus, and broccoli. There are salad vegetables like lettuce, and many others like celery, radishes, and carrots. Carrots are good cooked too, and so is squash and other yellow vegetables like rutabaga. Cauliflower and cabbage are good too. Yes, there are hundreds of wonderful vegetables. The important thing is that all kinds of vegetables are good for you, whether they're raw or cooked. They're important for good health, for lots of energy and pep, for clear skin and bright eyes, for shining, gleaming hair, and above all, for that wonderful sense of feeling good. The last finger represents fruit, and there are two kinds. Some are especially rich in vitamin C and help ward off some of the diseases that keep you in bed. They help cuts and bruises heal faster, too. Foods with lots of vitamin C in them include orange juice, grapefruit, strawberries, melons, and, of course, whole oranges. Certain vegetables, like tomatoes and raw cabbage, are also rich in vitamin C. You should have a vitamin C food every day, for vitamin C isn't stored in the body very long. Finally, there are the fruits we eat for dessert. Wonderful fruits like apples, bananas, peaches, pears, plums, grapes, and many others. Nuts make a good dessert, too. They're rich in energy, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. And now, as Ralph thinks about it, he realizes that each of the children he admires depend on all the foods for their health and not on just one food. George is strong, Wendy is pretty, Linda has a bright smile, and Kenneth has lots of pep, not because of any one food that they eat, but because they eat some of all kinds of food. For it takes 5 fingers to point the way to healthful eating habits. And Ralph goes over them in his mind. Every day, eat bread and butter, milk and cheese, meat and eggs, vegetables, fruits, and a vitamin C food. Thinking about all this food has made him hungry. He has a candy bar around as usual, but now Ralph has a better idea of why he shouldn't let candy and sweets substitute for other foods. Sweets don't have the proteins, the vitamins, or the minerals, the bodybuilding qualities of other foods. So for the next few months, Ralph really worked at learning to eat all kinds of foods.
Ralph, would you like some tea?
I don't want. Well, okay.
Well, what happened to you?
He'd sample everything that was served to him. And even if it didn't happen to be a food that he preferred, he'd eat some of it anyway. At night, he'd go over the 5 food groups and see how he had done that day. After a month or 2 of this, Ralph suddenly realized that a slow change had taken place without his noticing it. He found that eating had become fun. What's more, his health was better and he had more pep. He had more fun than he used to, and more friends. And all because he had learned to eat by counting his foods on his fingers.
This is Glenn Tucker. He's getting over a long sickness. Every day he watches for his friend, the mailman.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's Glenn?
Much better.
That's fine. I have a letter for him.
Thanks.
Mail for me?
Yes, one for you. Your friends don't forget you when you're sick.
No, but I wish I could go outdoors again. I like to go around with the mailman all day.
All day, Glenn? The mailman has a long day. He gets to the post office before 7 o'clock. First, he picks up the mail that is ready for him. He brings it to his own work table. Above the table, he has a case for sorting the mail. Our mailman is Mr. Dolan. Other mailmen are sorting the mail that they will deliver. Letters are most important, so Mr. Dolan sorts them first. He puts the letters for each family in their own place. Now Mr. Dolan sorts the magazines and newspapers and packages. It takes about an hour to sort the morning mail. It must be done before 8 o'clock. Mr. Dolan is on time. He is strapping his mail into bundles. He makes each bundle a size that is easy to handle. The truck will carry it part way for the mailman. Now Mr. Dolan goes to the mail clerk. From the mail clerk, he gets a very important letter. It's a registered letter, so Mr. Dolan signs for it. Everyone who handles a registered letter must sign for it. He gets his key here, too. Mr. Dolan takes special care of this registered letter. He puts it in a separate pocket of his pouch. Next, he packs the regular mail, the bundles of letters and the magazines. And he is ready to start around his route. He must leave the post office before 8 o'clock. Our mailman is on time. Mr. Dolan is carrying many kinds of messages. He carries friendly letters and business letters. He carries magazines with stories and magazines with news. He leaves the mail for some people before their stores and offices are open in the morning. Sometimes he hands the mail to people already at work. The filling station man gets the registered letter. He must sign for it to show that he has received it. He must give the signed slip back to the mailman, and the mailman must take it back to the post office. The post office must keep the signed slip to show that the registered letter was delivered. Mr. Dolan is always careful when he crosses streets. At this corner, he watches the traffic light. He crosses with it. Mr. Dolan comes to each house on his route at almost the same time every morning. At this house, the mailbox is right beside the door. It's handy to reach and easy to open. The lady in this house must have been waiting for her mail. This slot is really the best kind of mailbox. Now Mr. Dolan has emptied his pouch, so he comes to this storage box for his relay bag. The mail truck has already been here. The truck driver left the relay bag locked in the storage box. Mr. Dolan takes the mail out and puts the bag back into the box. The truck driver will get the empty bag next time he comes with a full bag. Now Mr. Dolan has another pouch full of letters and papers to deliver. The mailman knows everybody in the neighborhood, and everybody knows the mailman. At the end of his route, he stops at the mailboxes he passes to pick up outgoing mail. In this big mailbox, the large envelopes have fallen to the bottom. The small envelopes are all together. Mr. Dolan puts them into his empty pouch. He will carry them back to the post office to be sent out. The letters will go to many different places. They may go all over the world. Now we're outside a village post office, and here comes Mr. Hom. He's a rural mailman. He takes the mail to people who live on farms out in the country. Letters and newspapers and magazines, many boxes and packages, too. Some of them come from stores. Many country people buy from stores far away. The stores mail their packages to them. The country mailman starts on his way by 9 o'clock. Country delivery is called rural delivery. So the rural mailman's route is called an RD route. R and D are the first letters of rural delivery. Part of this route is on paved highway. Mr. Hom turns out here to make his first delivery. The mailbox on a pole is easy to reach. Now the car turns off the paved road. From here on, it follows a narrow road. This mailbox has its flag up. That means the mailman must stop to pick up something. The farmer's wife has a package to mail. Mr. Hom weighs it. The farmer's wife buys stamps for it. She mails her package at the rural mailman's car. So some people call his car a post office on wheels. Country children often watch for the mailman. Here's Becky. Almost every day she waits here by the mailbox. She likes to get the mail for her mother. Just see what has come today. A big box with many holes in it. The holes are really windows. What is in the big box with the round windows? The box is full of baby chicks. Baby chicks don't have to eat or drink for a whole day after they're hatched, so they can travel safely through the mail. Now Mr. Hom has come to another farm. This farmer wants to order some seeds by mail. He's buying them from a store far away, so he needs a money order to pay for them. He knows a money order is a safe way to send his money. The rural mailman will send the money order from the village post office. Now, away goes the post office on wheels, taking to people out in the country all the services of a post office in town. Every day, everywhere, hundreds of mailmen are going their rounds. The deep, deep snow doesn't stop this mailman. Rain doesn't keep this mailman from bringing the mail on time. In a town on the desert, the heat doesn't make the mailman late. Sometimes a messenger brings a letter by special delivery at night. In good weather and in bad weather, the mailman brings us our mail. He always tries to be on time. He works quickly, for he knows where each piece of mail belongs. The mailman is friendly and helpful. Almost everybody likes him, for almost everybody likes to get mail.